Hey guys, CrimsGreyVR, and today I'll be ranking some of the most popular furry avatars as well as a few lesser known furry avatars. So, let's get into it. Rex. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard about the Rex, because that's like 90% of like all the furry avatars I see in VR chat. And it's like the very first furry avatar you'll use, unless you use one of those like fallback furry avatars that's like, I mean, they kind of don't look bad. They don't look bad, but they do kind of, they do they I mean, it's good to start. That's it's good to start. It's not like the coolest avatar you can wear and like that sort of thing. But the one thing I dislike about Rexes is that they're so freaking common. The one thing that I will say about it that makes it kind of a nice avatar is the fact that it's so universal and there's like so many different types of the avatar that you can choose from, like based on different species. Like you could literally use one and make it any species you want. Though it is kind of hard, I feel like, because sometimes you have to, I don't know, change some things with the avatar to make it look better. Like, for example, with the wrists on them, they're so freaking. I don't. It's not as bad as another avatar I'm going to talk about, but their wrists are kind of annoying because it looks like they're a toothpick. almost that toothpick level of wrist, and it just bothers me so bad because the hands are so big and the beans on the hands are so big, it like proportionally it messes with me and I hate it so bad. So bad. And when it comes to ranking the Rex, I'm gonna have to put them in mid. They're pretty mid because it's like the very first furry avatar that you'll most likely use out of like all the other ones. And let's be honest, almost 90% of the furry avatars you will find on VR chat are Rexes. So it is just very mid, and you can only do so much with it. You can only do so much with it. That's all I'm gonna say. So it's absolutely a mid furry avatar. The next furry avatar that I'm gonna talk about and like rank is the Kynis. Now with these ones, I actually like. This is an avatar that I've used like back in the day before I even got this avatar. I feel like I've used Kynis avatars a lot longer, and it lasted a lot longer for me than the previous avatar that I talked about, but just because like it's more wolf-like, and I kind of like the build of them that's like kind of like swole but not like too swole. The one thing I hate about some avatars is that some people just make them so freaking like bodybuilder level of muscular, and it just looks so bad to me. I'm not sure if it's exactly a hot take, but I think any avatar that has like butt ton of muscles or like overly big and stuff, that goes for pretty much any part that's overly like big. It just messes with me, and it's like, bruh, really? It just looks so ugly. It's so ugly. So freaking ugly. But with Kynises, I think they're good. They kind of have the issue of the wrists, as I was talking about previously, which they're worse on the Kynises as compared to the other avatar I was talking about, because they're like paper. It looks like they're freaking like pencil thin. Like you could just like crack, you could just like bend it, and it looks like you just broke your hand off or something like that. And I just hate that. I don't get what's so hard about making things proportional and like realistic in a way. I know in VR chat things are more like cartoonish, but even then I feel like you should have at least a little, a little bit, to make it look better to the eyes. At least that's for me. I prefer more realistic looking stuffs over like cartoon. I feel like cartoon like thing kind of look trashy and like low effort and that sort of thing. Now when it comes to ranking the Kynis avatars, I'm gonna say it's not quite bad fur, or no, not bad fur. It's not quite mid fur, because it's the body type looks nice. It's one of those where it's like muscular but not too muscular. So I would say it's up towards above mid fur, so that would be good fur. Yeah, they have to go in mid fur. Excuse me. They have to go in good fur because they're better than the Rexes in terms of body wise. They look better, and other than the wrist thing, that's the only thing that I have really against that avatar. Now, the next avatar that I'm going to talk about are the Asters, or the dragons. I like these ones. These ones look really cool, mainly because, I mean, it's kind of hard to find a dragon that doesn't really look cool, if I'm being honest. But I do love how these ones look more realistic, because a lot of them have like a scale pattern on the avatar that you can clearly see. It's not like insanely like clear, like overly optimized, but it's a really nice avatar. That's all I'm going to say. And the people that use them, they seem to be really chill from what I could tell, which makes sense for dragons, like dragon character sort of gist, I feel like, cuz dragons feel more like laid back creatures that don't really like, well, I feel like dragon characters are either like super laid back and like, hey dude, something like that. I don't know, like surf bro kind of vibe, or like they're super like angry. I imagine them like, what are you looking at me, boy? Get over here, I'll teach you a lesson. That sort of thing. If they're like really like angsty, I guess. I don't think I've ever met one that's like the angsty kind of dragon, but most of them are chill. I feel like close to 90% of them are chill. Another thing I love about these avatars, these Aster dragons, is that just like with another avatar that I'm going to be talking about later, they have really, really nice looking female avatars. Like, you know, their breasts aren't too big, or like something like that, you know. Something I've noticed with like any female avatar on VR chat is that they make them so freaking big. It's it just takes everything out of it. Like, bruh, how are people into that? I'm not sure if I want to ask why people are into that. But like, hey, so can somebody like explain to me in the comments what's the what's the reasoning behind that, or something like that? But I don't understand. It makes no sense. I'd rather have them be like look realistic in size than, you know, too big. Like, how do you walk around with those things sometimes, you know? When it comes to ranking the Aster dragons, I would say they would have to be in top fur, because they're just like one of the best avatars you can get, and they'll just look so nice. And I believe you probably can find some free versions on VR chat that somebody put, but I don't know. I feel like with those avatars, some of them got ripped from people, which I hate it that people do that, to be honest. But people do that, so you could possibly find one. But they are a top fur level furry avatar. They're a top fur avatar, shall we say. Now, with the next avatar that I'm going to talk about, they are the Synths. Now, with these guys, they're pretty interesting, I might say. I've only met one person that's used these avatars and has it as their main avatar, and from what I can tell, they're pretty crazy. Similar to like some others that I've met. Very crazy. Like kind of the sus kind of crazy. But I like the idea of an avatar that's like kind of like a Protogen, but is like more robot, aka all the way robot, and like cyborg. That, yeah, it just looks so nice. And it's one of those really unique avatars you don't see much. I mean, it's kind of like with Sergals, because I've only seen Sergal avatars like twice out of the entire time I've been playing VR chat, which at this point has been like, let's see, oh my, more than 5 years at least. 4 or 5 years, which is insane to think about. I've never actually realized how much I've been playing this game. It's kind of crazy now that I think of it. But getting off topic. But with the synths, I love these avatars just because of how robotic they are, and I'm not sure exactly if there's any lore. But let's be honest, no like furry creature that I've seen will ever have more lore. There's just nothing that'll ever have more lore than the Avalis. You cannot tell me otherwise. There's nothing, literally nothing. It's insane. But when it comes to ranking the synths, I'm gonna say, just in terms of originality and pure uniqueness, I'm gonna say it's a top fur avatar, because like barely anyone uses it, and it's kind of looks nice. I normally don't really like robotic avatars because they look kind of clanky and dumb, to be honest. Kind of cringe. But for this one, it looks pretty good. I think this is the best, if not the only good looking like robotic avatar that I've seen that's furry. So yeah, I'm gonna put them in top fur. Now the next avatar that I'm going to talk about are the Nardos. Now with these ones are pretty cool. I like the Nardos because it's like a dragon interbred with like, I don't know, maybe like, let's say a fox or something. Don't ask how that works. I don't know. That's I wonder how that happened. Anyways, it's a really nice looking avatar, I would say. The one thing that's at least that I don't like about him, and the reason why I don't use them, is with the paws specifically. I just don't like the 3 toes. Like that feels too like amphibian to me, and I don't know, that just does not feel right with a mammalian like humanoid creature. I will say, with the people that I've met that use them, they're pretty chill, at least from what I've like had encountered and like noticed with these people that use these avatars, is that they're very like chill, but like in the sense of like stoner chill, like, hey dude, wanna you know, like kind of the stoner style. At least if I'm interpreting that correctly, that's what I understand. I'm not quite sure exactly what their main like character trait is with them, but that's what I have gotten so far with me being on VR chat. But in terms of uniqueness with this avatar, I like it because it's not anything like the Rex avatars, which you always see the freaking Rex avatars, and it just gets so boring. Like, brother, choose a different avatar that actually looks unique for once. But anyways, they are not like a super common avatar, I've noticed. They're a little bit common, but not insanely common like the Rex. Now, in terms of ranking Nardos, I feel like they're not quite top fur. They're not quite mid fur. They're more like good fur, because it's like they're not too common. You'll go through a good amount of worlds and probably not see one, as opposed to like the Rexes, where you almost always see a Rex in a world. Yeah, other than that, they're not too common. They look okay. They look nice. They're pretty unique. So I'm going to say they're a good fur. They put them in the good fur tier. Now, the next avatar that I'm going to talk about is the one I'm using right now, and that is a archer. And what I mean by archer, I'm talking about like the canines and honestly, all of them, because I feel like it's hard to like split them up and be like, oh, this one's completely different and then the other, and that sort of thing, because then that gets into like what do you call it? It gets very confusing, and is like, bruh, I don't feel like I need to go into that much detail. But when it comes to archers, I really love the archer, hence why I'm using one. But the one thing I dislike about the archer from the time that I've been using it is that the facial expressions are kind of lacking, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think there's some things that could be improved to make the facial make sort of things look better and more expressive. But I feel like at that point you might as well just put money into like facial tracking, which I kind of want to do that eventually, but right now it's not the most financially wise to do that. But yeah, when it comes to archers, I love how they're designed because their wrists aren't pencil thin. It actually looks pretty proportional and not like the freaking Kynis or Rexes that like looks like you just karate chop their hand off. Yeah, that's the one thing that I love about it. Also, I love like the things that you can do to like add. I mean, I'm not gonna say that because you can do that with technically any avatar, because you could just buy a base and do whatever you want with it, and that sort of thing through Blender or whatever the frick. I have a very hard time with that kind of stuff, so yeah, that's. I usually have help from my friends when I do that sort of thing, but yeah, back to the archers. With the archers, the one thing I love about the archers is that they are such a nice avatar because most of the time you have to pay for it. Unfortunately, there are a few that you can find, which I'm pretty sure guarantee that they've been ripped off someone. So that's unfortunate, but 90% of the time you'll be able to like buy it. At least that's how it was at the beginning until people started doing that, which is unfortunate. When it comes to like the people that I've met that are like that use the archers, I've heard that they're usually like super like sus in the sense of like, hello there. That's sort of like lewd kind of sus, but like I don't know. From what I've experienced, they're pretty chill. I'm not sure. They do kind of. I did have one significant experience where he was just absolutely teasing the crap out of me and like all that other annoying stuff, but I don't know. I just don't like how some people just like tease. Like I'm okay with a little bit of teasing. Like I do it sometimes too, but it's it's kind of over the top with archers. Me too, cuz like I do it a lot too with my friends, which is an interesting thing. But when it comes to ranking the archers, I'm gonna say they have to be in top fur just because of how like many different types there are. Like you can find like a base for pretty much any species, like a yin, a dog, obviously a wolf. I've seen ones that are for cats, and I believe no. I almost said that Asters are made by the same people, but I don't think that's right. I think they're separate from the archers. But yeah, they just look really nice. Another thing I'll say, the female avatars look so freaking good. Like, oh my. Yes, yeah, they do it correctly in my book. As with my previous rant from the Aster about the kahunas. Anyways, when it comes to ranking these guys, I'm going to put them in top fur. They're just like one of the best ones you can get. Now with Protogens, I feel like they're at the same level as Rexes, at least in terms of commonality, but there are a few good ones that I've seen that are like obviously customized, and it's like, oh, those actually look really good. I've seen ones that are like the archer, except for there's like a setting or something to like put on like the visor for a Protogen. So it's like kind of like a wolf Protogen thing, but I feel like that kind of isn't really a true Protogen. But with the Protogens, in terms of like originality, it's like they're just so common. It's like not really original, to be honest. It's like another avatar that you're most likely going to find other than the Rex avatars, which for that, I'm just going to have to put them... But like when it comes to the people that use them, they're pretty cool people usually. I know one that's like super into like technology and stuff, and a lot of them are from what I can tell, and that's really cool. I like them just for that because there's a lot of them that are super sciencey like me. it's it's really fun. I like talking sciencey stuffs sometimes, but yeah, it's the kind of science that's like, um, I don't think I'll ever be able to learn that, like chemistry or like biochem and all those complicated theme things, or like engineering is like, oh my, I will never understand, but that's really cool. I'll listen to them like yap for like an hour, and I'll just be like, it's really fun to listen to. So just for that, like personality wise, I feel like they have a more built up personality than some of the others that I've talked about. When it comes to ranking the Protogens, I'm gonna have to say that they this is a hard one because they're common to the point where it's like annoying, kind of like the Rexes, but they have more like personality wise, like personal things, and it's like a lot more entertaining and a lot more fun to hang around and like listen to as opposed to the Rex enjoyers. I feel like in terms of ranking the Protogens, I'm gonna have to put them in good fur because just the fact that they're like personality wise is just so entertaining and interesting, that's what really gets them up there. Now the next avatar that I'm going to talk about are the cats, and specifically the kind of short cat avatars that have like the big paws. And the reason why I say these specifically is, I don't know, but I feel like the people that use these avatars have a strange obsession with paws, shall we say. And because like I don't understand why they had to like design the paws on those avatars to be so big, but like brother, it kind of goes into the other territory I was talking about where like body proportion wise it doesn't look right. But at least with these ones, it's like not to the point to where it's like, oh, that does not look right, like with the avatars that are like overly swole, like bodybuilder style. And so yeah, it doesn't look terrible in terms of the like design. Like I like the proportions, like it doesn't look terrible. It's definitely cartoonish. I'm not really into cartoonish ones, but it's a cat. Felids, I don't, as a wolf, I don't like cats. They're just, you just can't trust them. Just look at their eyes, just look how gremlin-y they are, just, they're just such gremlins. That's the one thing about them that I also point out personality wise, is that a lot of them are just chaotic gremlins, and it's awesome. I love that. That's the one thing I've noticed about them in general, that they're a lot of chaotic individuals, shall we say. Now, when it comes to ranking these cat avatars, I'm gonna say it's not quite good fur or mid fur. I'm gonna have to say it's bad fur, because it's just, I just don't like the cartoon. I just don't like the cartoon style. It just doesn't look right to me. But I feel like it's the best looking one that's like cartoonish, in my opinion, because like the proportions aren't overly annoying looking. I just their paws though, it's just very sus, I will say. So I'll put them in bad fur, just in terms of design. Excuse me, I meant I'll put them in bottom fur. Not that kind of bottom, if you know what I mean. Now the next furry avatar or scaly that I'm going to talk about are the snake avatars. Now the one gripe I have with these avatars is that they're snakes. So when you think of snakes, they're normally, or 100% of the time, don't have legs. Like, brother, that's the one thing I don't like about them, is that they, just seeing them with legs and then like the really long tail, I mean, that's kind of cool, especially the ones that have the tail thing to where it kind of like slithers behind them. That's the one thing that I like. But other than that, it's a snake. It shouldn't have any limbs. It's that's just the thing that really gets me on them. I don't think I've ever actually seen somebody use these avatars like as their main avatar, other than like some like pop furs. But other than that, I haven't seen any of them like personally. So personality wise, I don't really have a clue of like how they are. It's just I'm gonna put those in bad fur. In terms of ranking the snake avatars, they're just bad. I just don't like them just because they're not supposed to have limbs. Oh, that's the one thing I can't get over about them. I don't know why. I just can't get over it. Now, the next furry avatar that I'm going to talk about and rank is the Doozer. And if you guys haven't seen these guys look like this. I have a friend that's one, but I kind of like these guys. These guys are really, I think out of all the avatars I've seen in this game, I think they're the cutest ones, just because proportionally they don't look bad at all, and they have so much like fluff. It's just awesome. I just love how cute they are. And the one thing I will say about them is that they don't really have much in terms of like expressions. But then again, not a lot of avatars have good expressions, I've noticed. So I'm not really a user of face tracking, so who am I to say that? But yeah, some of the expressions could be better on like a good amount of these avatars that I've talked about. But for the Doozers, they're not terrible. I would say their expressions are a lot better than the Archer. So that's the one thing I like about them, as well as how like cute they are. They're the cutest one. When it comes to like personality wise, it's very difficult for me to like talk about that, because the one friend I do have that is a Doozer enjoyer he's like super like laid back in like the sleepy way, but I don't think I've ever actually met any other Doozers, now that I think of it. And that's kind of crazy. Actually, it may have been another person, but overall, yeah, I almost never see them. Like in public worlds, I've never seen a Doozer. At least that I recall, I probably did see one, but just my brain is like, huh, you don't need that thought, you know? Yeah, they're very uncommon. Very uncommon. But they do look pretty nice. I like the design. It's pretty unique. It's not just like default canine look that's like, it just looks like a canine. Though they do have some canine features. They're not terribly similar. So, in regards to uniqueness, I would say they're pretty high up there. When it comes to like ranking these guys, I'm going to say that they're a top for avatar design-wise, because it just looks so nice, so cute, so cuddleable. It's just the top for avatar. It just looks so nice, and it's so unique, because like you're not going to see a lot of people that use them, unlike with the frickin' Rexes. Now guys, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to tickle the algorithm by dropping a comment down below about your thoughts on these avatars. And other than that, CrimsGreyVR out.